Mic check. Peas and carrots, poinsettia. Hi, I'm Ashley Daigle, and this is Advice from the Cheerbrarian. Never heard that word before? That's because I smushed two words together because I felt like it. This week, we're going to do what we always do. Mix a dollop of advice to improve your life. Born from a few of my successes and a boatload of my mistakes. With the book recommendation of the week, unearthed by my voracious love of reading, from self-help to historical fiction and everything in between. The holidays are here, and maybe that brings you great cheer, but maybe it brings you a great headache, because it can be a lot, too much even. Myself and returning co-host Amelia are going to share some of our favorite holiday traditions and give tips for managing holiday stress and retiring tired traditions. If you like what you hear, and I really hope you do, please, pretty please, with 2 cherries on top, tell 2 people about this podcast and send them a link to an episode you enjoyed, because direct word of mouth is huge for a little pod like mine. And now, let's get into it. Okay, I am delighted to yet again welcome someone into the virtual studio so that I can give my usual unsolicited advice, but this time to a real-life human being. So welcome to our returning guest, Amelia.
Oh, thanks for having me back, Ashley.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. Cannot wait to do this with you.
Anytime.
So we talk about books here. So first question, right out of the gate, what are you reading now, and do you like it?
Yes. I am almost done reading Wicked, which is very predictable for the time. I thought that I had read it before, but now that I'm going into part 2, or past part 2, but in the second half of the book, I've definitely never read this book before.
Oh, I read it, but it was probably, I don't want to do the math on it. It's going to upset me. I shouldn't even go look it up. I'm not going to look it up. So are you liking it? Or do you, is it worth the hype? You're like, good job, everybody. Good stuff.
Yes, I think so. It makes me more excited because I haven't gone to see the movie yet. It makes me more excited to go see the movie. You know,
I wish we lived closer. We could go together, but we can't.
I'll just take a flight out.
Yeah, just bop on up, over, west. Okay. Anyway, so what, if anything, would you like people to know about you before we get started today?
Ashley, this is my third
I mean,
appearance?
You're a pro. Real pro. Yeah. If you want to know about Amelia, go find the other episode she's on. Go listen to what she said.
Yeah, just do that. Follow me on Instagram, whatever you want to do. Great.
Beautiful. Cool. Okay. Like and follow. Okay. So today we are here to talk about surviving the holidays with sanity intact, and a phrase I came up with that's in the intro that I said, retiring tired traditions, which is a fun tongue twister. Can you do it?
Retiring tired traditions.
There you go. Good
kind
job.
of. It didn't really flow.
Yeah, it's a little tough. Okay. So other than because I said, hey, Amelia, come on the podcast with me again, why are you interested in talking about surviving the holidays with me today?
Well, definitely because you said, hey, Amelia, can we do this thing? But other than that, and you know this, but for anyone listening, I suffered a couple of significant losses this year, and one was unexpected and very profound and life-changing for me, which also really changed the way that I look at traditions, relationships, boundaries, just like life in general. And so holidays this year for me are a very different landscape. So it's interesting to chat through it with someone like you.
Interesting. So you're looking at maybe having to redefine some traditions and examine what you did, what you want to continue, how can you still have it, feel like the holidays, I guess, when some options aren't available?
Yes, absolutely. And also some of it's not doing the things that don't give you positive energy, right? Yes. It's cutting out some of the things that are these are just taxing. I don't really want to do them. They don't bring me joy. So why am I spending my time and my energy doing these things? And in some cases, being with people that I don't really necessarily care to spend that precious time with,
There you go. That's what we're getting into today. We're getting into it because for me, the reason I was super inspired to talk about this is there is so much pressure that is ratcheted up to 5 million with social media, of course, to make it the best and make it special and bring magic to your family and friends and buy a new car and put a bow on it and everything has to be woo. But it's a lot. And so today we're going to really focus on how to resist some of those external pressures, how to fight back against common sources of holiday stress. So, you've started talking a little bit about how this year is going to be different, but what does holiday stress look like for you and how do you manage it?
I mean, the holidays are stressful, obviously. I think that that's pretty like innate for everyone, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm you know this about me, like I'm a very laid back person, so like I,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a high stress person in general, but I do think it's how to manage expectations that's the
Mm-hmm.
stressful piece for me, and having to set and hold those like boundaries and different things, and
Yeah.
yeah, expectation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we can talk a little bit about that right now because you're jumping ahead to exactly where I
Oh,
wanted to be. So, a
great.
good job for
Teed it up.
that. So, the good news for Amelia and for everyone listening is that I spent some time thinking, and I was like, what are the holiday stressors? And I have only identified there's only 3 holiday stressors. You may be surprised. Here they are.
Only
The
three.
3 holiday stressors are people, places, and things. That's all. That's all. It's a very small. That's all you have to worry about is just people, places, and things. Right? So easy. 3 things. NBD. And so, first of all, I started exactly where you did. People. Right? What
Mhm.
does family stress look like for you? How do you manage it? And that gets us right into that expectation management because there's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions about what needs to happen and how it should happen and what day it should happen and what time it should happen. So how do you start to unpack some of those stressors and that expectation management? Like how do you work to do that better?
I think, and hopefully I'm answering the question that you're asking and not something else, but I think that
Mhm.
a lot of it is just like having creating a well enough like relationship with someone where you can say the things that you mean. So if it's like,
Mhm.
and I think you'll probably get to this later too, but it's like I don't have the energy to show up this year. Like emotionally, like I'm not there, or
Yeah.
I just don't want to, and just like
Mm.
being able to have the type of relationship with people where you feel like you are empowered to be honest with them about what you need, and whether that's
Right.
showing up or not showing up, or um, I don't know, taking off your shoes when you come in my house, like whatever it might be.
Right. So it sounds like what you're saying is like it begins with good communication. Like you feel
Mm.
like you're in a place and you need to for yourself advocate and be comfortable saying, "Here's what I want. Here are my boundaries." Um sorry, you just put on chapstick and then it makes me I'm going to pull my chapstick out cuz it just made me do it. I'm sorry. This is just
Can I just
happening.
also like
We're
just
chapstick buddies. We carry around chapstick in our pockets. Okay.
it's
Anyway, I'm not editing that out. It's staying in. It's great. So expectation management. So it's about so you talked about like managing other people's expectations, which I think is important. I
mm,
think there is something to be said. Sometimes you have to take a step back and realize where your own expectations are and where they may sort of be in conflict with expectations that other people are having. And so specifically, this is a silly story, but this just came up this week at my house. I It's about coffee creamer, so buckle up. It's a wild ride.
okay.
Um, I like
What
to make
kind of coffee
sure.
creamer?
Okay, so we buy heavy cream and then we mix
Mm.
in powdered sugar and a little vanilla because
Okay,
we're
that's a
fancy.
very important part of the story, I
That's
would
great.
say.
I'm glad you. I wouldn't have said it. I'm glad you asked. Okay, so
Yeah,
that.
it's not
So
just
anyway,
store bought.
so that is what my husband uses for his coffee. I use a different thing. This is not a coffee creamer episode. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, so I make sure that the creamer is in the house. And we ran out. And I was like, oh gosh. And I feel bad because he should have it and da da da. Like, whatever. I'm like, oh, he probably wants it for his coffee. No, no, no. Like there's this little story I've told myself. And then I mentioned to him 2 days later, I was like, oh my gosh, there's not even sorry, there hasn't been creamer. And he said, and I quote, I barely even noticed it. And so I was spending time and spending energy and worried about a thing that I thought was important to someone else, that I thought someone else wanted, and he didn't even notice and wasn't even like I was caring more about a thing for him than he was. And so
Mm,
that to me, I was like, that is very holiday related
yeah,
because I think with tradition comes just sort of an expectation that you're just going to keep doing things the same. And like, there could be a situation where like maybe nobody even wants to do the thing anymore, but if you don't have the communication Amelia talked about, if you don't raise your hand and go, "Hey, look, I'm not really feeling this year." You don't know that maybe everybody else in your family or friend group is like, "Oh, thank God. I'm glad you brought it up. I also don't want to do it."
yeah,
Right? So
been
it's
there.
about making sure that you're not overtaxing yourself for a thing that isn't appreciated and even further isn't even wanted, right? Like he
Yeah,
wasn't bothered and I was like super worried about it. So,
hmm Yeah, it's one of those things that's like it's managing. You can't manage other people's reactions. You can only manage like your expectation of their reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And like in this case, it's like you overthought it.
Me? I overthought it?
Not you.
Very off-brand. First time for everything.
Oh, totally.
Okay, so now I do want to take a second. I want to talk a little bit. We're going to be all over the place. It's going to be great. About a fun family tradition, because we've just talked about families can be difficult, communication can be hard. But Amelia, what is a fun family tradition that you have?
Yeah. We don't do anything really like crazy. I mean, if my dad's around, which he is most years, they come down. We will hand bake 2 pies, which we also like make the crust from scratch too. So that's been a fun thing we've done since I was little. And then the other thing we do is Avery, so like my kiddo. Every year, Ashley and I, my wife Ashley,
Yes, not me.
each of us take him to go like stocking shopping for the other person. So like him and I will go and like we'll fill a stocking for Ashley, and then like they'll go and like do the opposite for me, and then obviously we'll go together to fill one for him.
That's so fun.
It really is just like a fun random thing. Yeah. It's just like fun to just like go to a bunch of stores.
And
just,
I think on the front you sort of downplayed it. You were like, "Oh, nothing big deal," but like to me. I know. You're like, don't put me on blast. I will, Amelia. I will every time. But like, that is such a huge thing because you are instilling in your child, like, let's talk about the emotional labor and how much women are generally expected and looked to do when it comes to the gift giving and all this kind of stuff. It tends to fall more on women. And so you two are showing him as a young dude, hey, guess what? You should also take ownership over this. You should participate. It shouldn't just be on the morning we dump the stockings and you're just a surprise to see something that had your name on it because you weren't involved. So I think that's a really cool thing, and I'm glad you shared it. And I might steal it, and
do it.
If I do it, I will make sure to be like, hey, by the way, to Q, I'll be like, Amelia gave me this idea, so I will throw you firmly in front of a bus. Awesome. This is a silly.
What's yours?
Yeah, I was gonna say thank you. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, we haven't done this for a number of years, but have you ever done the thing where you like wrap stuff in saran wrap? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes. So we did this at my husband's mom's house for a few years with like the cousins and stuff. So it's where you buy like stuff that nobody even like marbles, like silly little trinkety things.
Sure.
And then you wrap them in saran wrap. And then you keep, you do another thing in saran wrap until you have this giant unwieldy ball. And then if you really want to level up, so you get a timer out, and then you also get oven mitts. Have you done this variation?
No.
Yeah. So we did so they made 2 balls. One was for like the little kids, that was like less complicated. For the older kids and adults, when we did this, so you it wasn't a timer, it was a set of dice. That's what it was. So you had to put on the oven mitts, and the saran wrap ball was handed to you, and you had to try to take off as much saran wrap as you could. And then the person next to you was like rolling a dice and had to try to get doubles. And as soon as they got doubles, you had to pass it. So there was like this element, this like timed element, and added this like frenzy. And again, the adult ball had like some little bottles of alcohol, like fun stuff, but it wasn't like, it wasn't expensive. It wasn't like we wrapped in there like hundreds of dollars of things,
Yeah.
So that's a silly one.
Okay. I have a lot of family that's going to be really mad at you this year.
Great. So my kid's going to be mad at you, and then your family's going to be mad at me. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So back to my very simple list of 3 holiday stressors. We've talked about people a little bit. Now we have places. Just number 2, very small.
Places.
The holidays are filled with events. So many events. Every work, every fun group you participate in, everybody wants to have a holiday party. And do you want to go to all of these holiday parties, Amelia?
Heck no.
Heck no. And like, I love a party, but even I don't want to go to all of them. So what I want to ask you is, what is your best way to get out of something that you don't want to go to?
I guess it depends on the situation, right? Like if let's say it's like a work party, then I will make up some sort of excuse, like my kid's really sick, or I have family in town.
That's
I've
what
got a
kids are
wedding,
for. Yeah,
like any of those sorts of things. On a more like personal level though, if it's like a friend or like a family member that's doing something and going back to what I said earlier, like I try to maintain relationships where I can just be like, I really don't want to.
So wait, you will say to people, I don't want to?
Yes.
Amelia is a hero. Okay. Do you not? I have so many questions. Okay. Does it not make you sweat? Like you just say it and you're just like, that's it. And like, thank you.
I mean, it definitely used to make me sweat. It used to make me uncomfortable. And I'd be lying if I said that there weren't some people where I'm like, oh, like, I don't think I can say that to this person. But for the most part in my life, I'm just like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I really don't feel up to it. Like emotionally, like I don't have the capacity to do it, or just like physically, I'm just like so drained. I'm going to be honest. Like, I just don't want to. And people are like, you know what? Respect. Like, I respect that.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. That is great. So hear it from Amelia. If you need the blessing, if you need permission, it is okay. And you get the Amelia seal of approval to say,
stamp it.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And so you can, so she is great, apparently, good job, at telling people, I don't want to go. But sometimes there's a step before that that's hard, where it's like you can't even you feel like you can't make the decision for yourself to say that you don't want to go because some of those expectations and social pressures and all this. So what I want you to hear from me, what I believe I'm good at, is that you don't have to go. And this is the kicker. You don't need a different plan or something cooler to do. You can just say, unfortunately, I can't make it. That's a full sentence. You don't have to say anything else. Or you know what? You don't even have to be unfortunate about it. Like Amelia was saying, you can just you can say, I won't be able to make it. That's it. And they might say like, oh, do you have something going on? And you can say, yeah. You don't have to. And like what you have going on could be being at your house in your pajamas by yourself, looking at your dog, looking at your phone. Like I give this advice a lot to friends, especially those that are single around the holidays, because I think when you're, single adult, if you don't have kids, families tend to just sort of be like, oh, well, this is the time and this is the place and you're not doing anything because you don't have, family or whatever. So you can be here at this time and this whatever. And it's like, just because you don't have another plan doesn't mean you have to go to a thing that you're invited to, even if your family plans it, even if it's like your great aunt Glinda's most favorite special event. Like you don't have to. Do you like that? I did a little wicked tie-in with.
I did. I really
Glinda.
did.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I was very impressed.
So complete sentence. I cannot make it for any reason you want in the whole wide world.
And I'd say,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, just like if there's someone that gets upset by that's like, I can't believe that you like can't make this or aren't going to prioritize it or you're putting out, then like you probably need to sit down and have a conversation with that person, because like that's not cool. You should be able to just be like, I can't. Whether it's I can't or I don't want to, like it's really the same thing.
Right. And here's the thing. Other people's feelings are not yours to manage. So if they're upset with you because you can't go, that's a bummer for them to deal with. But that is not your situation. Thank you. Thank you for snapping.
Snaps all around for that.
Thank you for that.
We all need that reminder.
We've solved people and places completely.
Right.
Done.
What about things?
So this is where I put gift buying, right? That is another huge stressor of the holiday season. So my question for you to kick us off, Amelia, is how are you as a gift giver? I would say I'm quite bad at it. Quite bad.
I don't know. I mean, I still have my votes for women pin.
You do?
And my little cheese grater thing. Yeah, see, and those are just like those are like just like little tiny things that like I'll never forget that you gave them to me. So I would say that you're not a terrible gift giver.
Okay.
I'm okay at gift giving. I don't buy for a lot of people. So I think it can really easily get like out of control, and then it's like becomes very stressful. So I'm just like, here are the few people that I'm going to buy for every year.
So my headphones fell off.
I just want anyone listening to know, because please don't cut this out.
I was leaning too far back or something, and it just slowly fell off my head.
I started to think I was saying something really strange, and then I realized your headphones were
Oh my god. Okay. What the heck were you just saying? Okay, gifts. You said
I think that
gift buying.
I don't buy for a whole lot of people because
Hmm.
that is when it gets really stressful for me. It's like trying
Yeah.
to like think of all these things to get all these people, and then inevitably you always end up like very last minute being like, oh crap, I forgot about so and so or whatever. So anyway,
Hmm.
I don't gift for a lot of people. So I think that I'm decent at gift giving because I spend all year making notes about people, which could sound kind of creepy, but it's not
It
creepy. It's like
does.
I go
I'm just kidding.
no,
It's
it's
not.
like if I go to let's say like um, Avery's grandma's house, and
Hmm.
I'll just like make notes about things that she talks about, things that like she's like, oh, like so and so has like $80 sheets that would be so nice, but I'm just not going to buy those for myself. I make a quick little note that goes, "Hey, Sherry, nice sheets." And I do that with the people that I buy
Wow.
for, so that like
Hmm.
towards the end of the year or at whatever point throughout the year I feel like buying it or it goes on sale or like whatever, I can
Hmm.
just like go to my list and grab it. It also
Wow.
works for like following years too, because you might
Hmm.
have some
Is that
things
like,
in
do you
there.
have a notes app, or like, how do you keep track of them?
Yeah, just like on the notes app in your phone.
Wow.
Hmm.
Next level. Okay, so Amelia has just disclosed that she is an amazing gift giver. I say I'm a bad gift giver. Like, I have a history of, I don't even know for how many years I have given my husband things that he already owned. Like, it was a running gag where he was like, I got you this thing. And then he would like look at it and I was like, did you have this already? And he's like,
Yeah.
yes.
But you knew that it was something that he would like.
Huh. Look at you putting a lovely
See?
silver lining on that. That's beautiful.
You know,
Um, one thing
I'm
that
here for you.
that we have done, so like we said, gifts can be stressful. When we first
Mhm.
started dating, it was like, oh, how many gifts is he giving me? Like that negotiating at the beginning of a relationship of like what gift giving looks like can be a thing.
Yeah,
But we have sort of decided like we are not doing gifts anymore. Like we try to do experiences instead,
love that.
and stockings. Like that's basically all that we do for the adults because it's like we don't need stuff. And he's a person who like he I like gifts more than he likes gifts, I think. And so during the year, if he sees a thing that reminds him of
Sure.
me, he'll just be like, I got you this thing. And I'm like, I'd rather the thing on Tuesday when you thought of me than have you like, why does he have to jump through a hoop to give me something
Totally.
on, December 25th because we celebrate Christmas in my house? Like, you don't have to. You don't have
Yeah, I
to.
mean, also, what if it's like a summer thing? So then you like can't use it for 6 months, and
Yeah.
maybe you don't even want it next summer, but you wanted it this summer. Like, what if you need a new hammock?
Right. I mean,
It's a
oh,
real that
see,
could be a real problem.
that'd be a good gift for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I love the idea of giving people experiences,
I
and
love
I'm
that
at a
too.
stage in my life too where it's like I have enough stuff in my house, sometimes too much. And so like the minute someone gives me something, I'm like, "Thank you so much." And then there's a voice in my head that's like, "But where is it going to go? Where is it going to go in the house?"
Yes,
So like I
absolutely.
think give people edibles, things that are edible. Not not
I was
maybe,
like,
you know what? Maybe give people edibles. Maybe
I'm
mix that into your Saran wrap ball and everybody has a good time. But like, so what I like for gifts, what I think is like I love cheese. Not that anybody listening should give me gifts, but like, cheese and jams and like stuff like that that you're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this is nice. I enjoyed it. I thought of you." And now it's gone out of my house. Another
sure.
thing I want to say about gift giving, this may be controversial. So I'm interested to hear what you think about this, Amelia. Do not invite me to your white elephant gift
Ooh,
exchange. I hate them with a fiery passion. It seems like you might agree. Your face, you
I
were okay.
I'm just like melted. Yes, I do. I just had this conversation with someone. I was like, "Do not
Mm,
invite me to a Secret Santa. Do not invite me
mm-hmm,
to a white elephant, especially
mm-hmm,
Secret Santa. Like you do them at work all the time, and you're like, I don't actually know this person outside of
mm-hmm,
work, or they just started. Like I don't
mm-hmm.
know who they are. Um, don't do it. Don't invite me. I'm not there. I will not show up. Especially white elephant. I'm like, you won't even miss me if I'm gone. I won't be there. I'm sick. Kid sick. 18-year-old is sick.
You have Avery. He like walks in the back of the Zoom call and does like a, just to get you out of the
Yes,
Zoom
yes.
white elephant.
Please.
Okay. I will say too, if white
Hmm.
elephant is a beloved tradition of yours, then you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah, that's okay.
Live your best life. Like we're not here to judge. We're just here to say we both hate it. And we think it's terrible. Like to me, here's why. Here's why. So I think like sort of like, you have Thanksgiving and it's supposed to be like all about family and gratitude and whatever. And then the day after is like consumerist Black Friday, like, fight people for like it's the opposite, right? Like I feel like Black
Yeah.
Friday is almost the opposite. I feel like the holidays, what is thrown around is like, oh, it's a season for giving and like sharing and like love and all this, but like stealing gifts from other people is like, it's the opposite of that. Like, that's
Yep.
why I don't like it. And some
Yeah.
people take it. I've seen people take it very seriously and get big mad.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Um
You know the one that I did one time that was actually pretty fun?
mhm.
It was, like a record exchange. So, like, everyone brings one vinyl,
Oh,
and then you go through
okay.
it and do that.
See, that's a
We
good
did leave with, like, a
variation,
Bill
yeah.
Crosby record, though, so
Yeah, and I will say I saw one. We did one at work once. So here's some variations that if you invite Amelia and I, we would come. Number
yes.
one, if there's like a specific like, oh, like, I mean, even something like, oh, like a cookbook, what, like something that like
Yeah.
everybody's getting the same. There's parity,
Right.
right? But also we did one at work where it was like musical chair style, where like you stood up by your gift, and then I think we played music or something, and you just kind of kept walking around the table, and when the music stopped, like that was your gift. So it had the
Hmm.
same element of like it sort of like took the Secret Santa white elephant and like smooshed them together, and you were like, "Cool, this is mine, yippee!" But don't make me trade. Don't make me. I
Yeah.
don't want to do it.
I just like low stakes. Well, and like you said earlier too, and like I also just had this conversation with someone the other day, was like, I don't want more stuff.
Yeah,
Go to like a white elephant, like there's a good chance that like I'm gonna have to go home with something, or I'm gonna have to find a place for it, or I'm
right.
gonna have to like hold on to it for 6 months until I no longer feel bad for getting rid of it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
literally have like two things in my attic
Hmm.
where someone gave me like a bless our home sign and like another sign that I was like, this is not me. Like this is
Right.
very nice of you, but like I'm not hanging it. Don't try
Yeah.
to give me something I'm about to hang
Do
in
you
my
know where you
house.
could bring that? You could bring that to a white elephant gift exchange.
That's true. That is very maybe that's why
So
I hold on to it.
actually, forget what we said. Please invite Amelia to your white elephant gift exchange. She will be bringing things in her home that she does not want.
But people gifted
Um,
to me.
yeah,
Anyway.
she's like she doesn't want that stuff. I was gonna say something else about gifts, and then I forgot. What? Oh, this is what I was gonna say. So going back to what we talked about expectations. So I
Mhm.
love the fact that like my immediate family. So me, my mom, my dad, my brother. We live. My parents are in Louisiana. My brother's in Florida. I'm in Illinois, and we long ago stopped saying we like, hey, let's not do gifts anymore because trying to
Hmm.
mail stuff is complicated, and we all like came to a consensus, and that was great. And now we don't do it. And so maybe you're that person who you're like, I am tired of having to give people gifts. But unless you say, hey, let me just check, how do we feel about this? Maybe everybody's just going through the motions. So the gift giving is another thing when you can look at your expectations and you can take a step back and be like, here's what I'm thinking. What do we think, team? Because you don't know unless you ask.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what you said earlier too. It's like, like how do we feel about stopping this thing? And it's like everyone else might go, "Oh, thank God, I was thinking that also,"
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't want to be the person
Yeah.
that said something.
Right. Well, and it can be the beginning of a conversation because you
Okay.
saying, how do we, like, I love your phrasing of how do we feel about stopping this thing? And then if it's like lukewarm, then you can at least say, okay, well, the reason I was thinking about it is X. And so maybe there's a way that you can come together and like modify your tradition
Yeah.
where it's better for you who might be tired of it. Other people still get to enjoy it, but you're not just stuck in this loop of we are going to do the same thing forever and ever and ever because
Right.
like nobody's going to talk about it. Right.
Yeah.
Boo.
More like
Um,
alternatives.
do I?
I like alternatives.
Yeah,
Like
alternatives.
instead
Do
of
some
mailing something like, "Why don't we get on a Zoom if we can't all be together?" Like I don't know.
boom. Do some I was gonna say holiday Zoom caroling.
Yeah, I don't know.
Impossible because you
I
can't
don't
sing
know
at the
about
same
that
time.
one.
Don't do that.
Yeah, my parents only do gifts if you're with them, like as adults.
Hmm.
Like if they see you in person, like they'll do gifts, and we're the same way with them.
Yeah.
But if we don't see them in person, like we're not mailing anything. It's actually like an unspoken rule, but it
Hmm.
works for us.
That sounds
Just an
great.
idea.
That's a
Yeah.
good variation. I love that. So I want to practice what we've preached today. So we've talked about like managing expectations, and we've talked
Mhm.
about making sure what you're doing is important to you and not just what other people want. So I want to know, Amelia, what are the important elements for you to have a good holiday? Because I want you to think about it, and then you
Ooh.
listening think about it too. So that way, when you find yourself in this spiral, you can say, "Hold on, I took time and I thought about what's important to me. This actually isn't important to me, so I don't have to stress about it." So, what is really important to you?
Yeah. Well, this question is really important to me because,
Mm,
like, as you're thinking about all the other things that we've talked about, I think it's important to understand, like, do I want to go to this thing or not? it depends on what's important to me. Like if spending
Right.
time with people is important, then yes, it's probably important to drink another cup of coffee and just show up even though I'm tired, you know?
Right.
Um, on that note, what's important to me, I didn't grow up in like a super like tight knit large family or anything like that. So, and we didn't really have a lot of holiday traditions like growing up. So I don't feel like deep rooted into a lot of it. So for me, it's rest. Like I want some like R&R like over holidays. I don't want to be super stressed. I don't want to be super busy. Like I want to see the people that I like care the most about, and I want to take some time to just like relax.
Yeah.
We're always so busy all the time, and it's like everything's shut down. You can't really go anywhere or do anything like outside of like houses.
Yeah.
So that's what's important to me.
There you go. Okay. Cool.
Family time and rest.
Yeah. Family. Would you say family and rest, or was there
Family and
something
rest.
Family and
Yeah,
rest.
no,
Beautiful.
family and rest.
For me, I would say family and friends, like friends that are chosen family. So like
Yeah.
spending time with the people that are important to me. And then also really important to me, we've had a tradition for a while now where there are certain movies we watch. So getting together to watch the movies is important to me. And I think sometimes it's like I get distracted by some of the gift giving and some of the trappings and the things,
Totally.
getting the decor up and all this. And like those are important, but if I can't enjoy the holiday movie because I'm so worried about the gifts I'm giving to the 15-year-old who doesn't really care about gifts anyway, then like
Yeah.
I've lost focus, right? So for
Totally.
me, quality time, holiday movies. So those are my two areas. So I encourage you in listening land to ponder for yourself. You're going to say something else?
Die Hard.
Yeah. It's the best Christmas movie of all time.
Thank
I will
you.
take plenty of agreement on that. I will take no cons. This is
I
not
agree.
open dialogue. It is a movie that happens at Christmas. They say the word Christmas a bunch, and it is about a man trying to reunite with his family, estranged, for the holiday. Could not be. I mean, that's the plot of like half the movies on Hallmark.
Yeah.
The end.
What's the like the survey say? Like is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Like yes or no? Like is it like 60% of people say yes? 90%?
I don't care. 100% of me says yes, and what anybody else says to me doesn't matter because I take it very seriously. That is what I put up that is what we watch while we put up the decorations. It is a tradition.
All right.
There you go.
I
Thank you
respect it.
for giving me an opportunity to talk about Die Hard.
Anytime.
Okay, so we're to my stack of pancakes portion where I've summed up a
Right.
few things that I want people to remember. So what we've talked about today, number 1, take a step back and ask yourself why and adjust as needed. So, are you doing this thing because you want to? Because you think other people want to? Because you think you're supposed to? And then take it a step further. Could someone else do it? Can you outsource something that you think is important? Or could it not be done at all? Can we just skip a thing? So really ponder about the why. Another thing I wanted to mention, just do you. Okay. Comparison is the thief of joy. And like I said at the top, social media portrayals of holidays, it's everybody posting their best, most perfect holiday moment, right? Not everybody's having all this stuff. And so listen, here's an example from another classic holiday movie. Look at The Grinch. Okay. He could have just, he was up there. He could have just minded his own business, right? He could have just had a nice day with his dog, but he was so worried about what other people were doing. He came down a mountain and ruined their holiday. Don't do that. Just maybe be grumpy at your house with your dog, instead. Just an idea. And then the last one is just remember to ask yourself what's important to you and prioritize that.
Yep.
What you want is just as important as what everybody else wants. So,
yes.
Booyah. You ready? You ready to get a book rec?
Yes, I forgot that I was going to get a book rec.
How dare you? Okay. So, time for book rec. Because I'm your book concierge. And I have picked one out already that I hope you haven't read because this segment will fall apart very quickly. So, have you read The Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo?
Never even heard of it.
Yes. Okay. So, Six of Crows. So it's 2 books, hence the word duology. I don't know why I explained that. It's right there in the word. So this is a really fun series to cozy up to in the wintertime. So I was thinking of something that's like fun and that is good escapism for you to escape from holiday stress or escape, from your family or whatever you want. So this is a great heisty story with alternative points of view. So it jumps like character POV every chapter. Um, I love this book. I read both of them. I read them a couple years ago. And I remember when I first read it, there was a book blurb that referred to it as Game of Thrones meets Ocean's 11, which was interesting. And I was like, here's the thing. My take on that is that it's really more like if the Newsies, like, the chipper little newsy kids, had to get Danny Ocean from Ocean's 11 to fight X-Men. So it's got more going on. It's not as dark as Game of Thrones at all. Because, I mean, Game of Thrones is great, but like not a fun good time. So this is really, Bardugo is telling a very straightforward story about a kid from the wrong side of the tracks trying to get what's his and like stick it to the man. So that's like the heisty part of it, but there are magical elements. There's like different people have different powers kind of thing. And like I said, it jumps point of view. So it's one of those things where like, that's where I think the Game of Thrones came in, because each chapter is like a different character. So you're kind of going back and forth, and sometimes people are together and sometimes they're not. And technically it is YA, if that, matters for you to understand that.
Fun.
But I just remember having, and they're huge. They're both pretty big. So you could also be like, oh my gosh, I'd love to be there. But like, I'm in the middle of this book, and then it's a really big book. And then, oh no, I can't go. My book,
It's like 2 weeks later.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly.
Great. I will check it out. It's available at my library. And so when we're getting done with this
Did you already check while we were talking? You already looked just now.
I did.
What a keeper you are. What a keeper.
Just wanted to know.
Well, I think that's about all we're going to do today. And I wish you a very happy holiday season, Amelia. May your, I don't know, cocoa be warm, and may people stop bothering you. That's my holiday wish for you.
And I hope you get to eat all the cheese.
Thank you so much. That's so kind. All right. Thank you for coming today, Amelia. You're the best as usual.
Anytime. Happy holidays, Ashley.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, it is now time for unrequired reading, where I'm going to give some books to read that tie back to the topic du jour, which is all about managing holiday stress. Because as Amelia and I talked about, the holiday season is in your face. It is pervasive. You can't escape it, but you sort of can, perhaps in a book. So this week, I'm going to recommend a book to you that is not about the holidays at all, but it is about a super dysfunctional family that may give an escape from life and maybe your own family if, they're dysfunctional. You don't have to tell me. I won't ask. I won't tell them if you said so. Not that you will tell me, because I just said I'm not going to ask you. Okay, so the book is The Nest by Cynthia D'Aprix, D'Aprix Sweeney. So in this book, 4 siblings are eager to inherit what they affectionately refer to as the nest from their late father, a big old pile of money. He worked his whole life pinching pennies, and his intention was to provide a modest bump for his children, and they have been planning for it. But his investment practices and the market have swollen the amount beyond what he could have imagined. So it looks good. However, the oldest sibling makes some bad decisions that catch up with him, and they have got to pay the price. And now, guess what? There's not much of a nest left. So, will things be made right? This book, like I said, dysfunction all around. It is a story of arrested emotional development in an unhealthy and emotionally distant family in New York. Each person is their own worst enemy. There's really not a lot of people, not a lot of characters to root for, and they are suffering from some unfulfilled expectations. They're all pretty unhappy, but largely because of their own decisions. Small grievances and mismanaged expectations plague them. So they did not talk about expectations, like Amelia and I have said is important. Overall, I found this book to be really fascinating, and it was a real sort of peek into the problems of how the other half lived. And I actually listened to this as an audiobook, and I thought it worked really well if you're into that. And like, this book is really, It really is like the whitest of all white people problems. And in fact, Zoe, who is a frequent co-host on the show with me, from her review of it, she said, overall, it is an easy, fun read, not too thought-provoking, but sometimes you need something like that. I think this book would actually translate really well to a movie, and she had fun casting the characters in her mind. So thanks for that, Zoe. I'm glad to see that we agree, which is not surprising. So both me and Zoe think you might like that book. And then I will recommend a holiday book because it's important to me. So the book I'm recommending that you read is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So I read it for the first time last year, and it was the first Dickens I had ever read, which was, I was like, how have I gone my whole life? But anyway, one of the traditions, I mentioned in the front part with Amelia how much I like watching holiday movies. One of those movies is The Muppet Christmas Carol, which I think is absolutely perfect. And so last year I was like, you know what? I want to get the book and I'm going to read the book while I'm watching it and it'll be great. And when I say I read it while watching it, this is like give me my Captain Nerd sticker or something. I literally had the book and I had a highlighter and I read it along with the movie, and when they said a line that was like that matched when the dialogue was the same, I highlighted it. And when I tell you that was like a top event from that was a highlight of my holiday season last year, was flipping through and furiously highlighting and realizing just how much of the actual Dickens dialogue is in Muppet Carol, because it's a lot. So that is a big fun time for you that you could try. And that is about all I have for you today. I love a little recap because life is busy and I want you to have something to take with you today. So what the heck did we talk about? In today's episode, Amelia and I talked about how you can manage your holiday stress and expectations. We emphasized the importance of identifying what is really important to you and not overcorrecting on doing what you think other people want. Amelia gave you her seal of approval to say, I don't want to go to any and all holiday events. And we shared tips for gift giving, including checking into those on your list to see if you might be able to skip gift buying altogether if you're not feeling it. Amelia said she is enjoying the book Wicked by Gregory Maguire, and it lives up to all of the hype. For Amelia, I recommended The Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo for cozy holiday reading. And an unrequired reading, I recommended The Nest by Cynthia D'Aprix Sweeney and the Christmas classic A Christmas Carol, both the Muppet movie and the original Dickens novel.
Also, I wanted to make one little announcement. This is my second to last episode of the year, and then I'm going to take a nice long break to relax, recharge, and come back with fresh new episodes mid-January. So enjoy it while you can.
And please follow and review wherever you pod, and join the Cheerberry on Instagram or Facebook by following me at the @Cheerberry handle. That's where you can see resource links and other goodies, and talk to me, which I would love. Now go on, get out of here. Have a happy holiday. Drink more water. Okay, bye.